Ian. Welcome, Mary. It's a pleasure to have you here. Please join me now in honoring America, saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening. Roll call, please.
Miss Martin?
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Here.
Mr. Conway?
Here.
Miss Doherty? Miss Larraba? Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Here.
5 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any special order of business this evening. Moving right on to the minutes, the budget session minutes of the meeting of Thursday, June 7th. Chair recognizes Ms. Larraba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of the retirement of our previous secretary, I didn't think it was appropriate to send changes to her. However, on this minutes of the budget session on page 18, I would like to have stricken the line that said the next statement by Ms. Larraba was out of order. It was more of an editorialization of what was going on rather than a true representation of what was said.
So the motion would be to stricken that one sentence, the next statement by Ms. Larraba was out of order.
Correct,
in
sir.
bold print. Right. Second by, do we have a second? Second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor? Actually, can we also have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes as amended by Ms. Larraba, second by Ms. Martin, with that line stricken from the record. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed is the vote. Next regularly scheduled draft minutes of the meeting of Wednesday, June 15, 2011. Anybody have any comments, corrections? Move to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Larraba. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, placing them on file, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Moving on, permission to enter. And again, I also want to recognize that this is Gene Franco's first meeting as superintendent. So again, we know we're in good hands. So
Thank you.
I recognize Superintendent Franco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Permission to enter. SPNR Transportation of New Hampshire for $869,765 to amend the existing contract to provide for bus monitors per student individual educational plans and provide special education transportation for students involved in special ed after-school programs provided by local budget special education transportation and various grants. North Reading Linfield Taxi Incorporated for $525,540 to amend the existing contract to provide for regular education transportation for students involved in after-school activities and school field trips provided by various grants. Therafit 1 at River Edge Incorporated for $200,100 to provide for a 3-year contract for athletic trainer services for the Lowell High School athletic program, funding provided by the school department athletic contracted services account. To Middlesex Community College for $35,000 to provide Lowell High School with Violence Prevention Peer Mediation Program, the SCORE program, under the auspices of Middlesex Community College Law Center, funding provided by the school department FY12 budget. To Middlesex Community College in the amount of $757,956 to continue the Bridge program at the David J. McHugh Alternative Middle School program at the Riverside School on Woburn Street. The program serves 50 students in grades 7 and 8, including integration of special education students. Funding provided by the school department FY12 budget. To Middlesex Community College for the sum of $20,000 to pay tuition for qualified students from Lowell High School who will earn both high school and college credits by taking courses at Middlesex Community College in the dual enrollment program. Funding provided by the school department FY12 budget. To University of Massachusetts at Lowell in the sum of $25,000 to pay tuition for qualified students from Lowell High School who will earn both high school and college credits by taking courses at the University of Massachusetts Lowell in the dual enrollment program. Funding provided by the school department FY12 budget. To Kenneth R. McDowell in the sum of $29,510 to provide round-trip transportation for one special education student from Easter Seals in Manchester, New Hampshire, to the TEACH program in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Funding provided by Lowell School Department FY12 Special Education Transportation Budget. To Sandra L. Dunning in the sum of $19,950 to provide professional development training to Lowell Public Schools administrators, literacy specialists, coaches, and Merkland School staff in the area of writing, aligned to the new Mass frameworks for English language arts and literacy. Funding provided by the Merkland School Redesign Plan and the local professional development money. To BCM Controls Corporation in the sum of $26,993 to provide for the repair and service of security cameras at Lowell High School. Funding provided by the FY12 School Department local budget contracted services. And to United Teen Equality Center in the sum of $75,000 to expand the UTEC program to allow for approximately 30 students to attend a full-day academic program as part of a dropout prevention plan. Funding provided by Department of Education Dropout Prevention Grant.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Ms. Larraba, then Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I actually have a couple of questions on some of these. The first one is regarding Middlesex Community College. Could you just expand a little bit on what the SCORE program is about? Are those high school students or are those college students? And just give me a little bit of background on that.
Yeah. Yes, the SCORE program has been a program we've had for a number of years that provides peer mediation, mentoring, guidance to high school students, and they share that kind of mediation process with other students at the high school, and the amount goes to Middlesex Community College, who does the training with the children to continue this program annually.
The next question actually combines the Middlesex, the dual enrollment. Do we have an idea of how many students those two amounts would take care of? I mean, in other words, we must have a limit on how many children or students are allowed into the dual enrollment program. Do you have an idea of how many for each program?
I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. I'll ask Ms. Murphy if she knows, but truthfully, I know probably about 150 students partake in that annually, but I'm not exactly sure of the amount.
Ms. Murphy?
Actually, I'm not finished. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the UTEC, are you, I'm sorry.
I don't know the exact number either. I think it's somewhere in that vicinity. I don't know if Mr. Rosemary, who's here, would...
Yeah.
Same answer, about that ballpark, but I don't have the
Okay.
And then on the UTEC, 75,000, I thought the 200,000 that we had approved was going to help extend the program by the 30 students. So if you could expand on this program a little bit more, is this, as an addition?
Yes, this is the amount that was just secured through the grant written to the Department of Education. This is the beginning of the program. The additional funding that exists in the suspense account will allow for the program to, this is the beginning funding, so that it's going to allow for 30 students to attend in itself is really not the total amount, but this is the beginning, like the seed money that we've been promised over 3 years. I believe it's $200,000 over 3 years, and so this is the first allotment of that state grant. It is not by any means the entire amount, but it's just to secure that funding from the Department of Education to begin the program.
Okay, but for this year, we'll be spending 275,000, 75,000 of that as a grant, and the 200,000 that we put aside with our funds.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Ms. Martin, then Mr. Conway.
Thank you very much. On that same topic, actually, I know that there are a number of questions that have arisen around this specific one, and I don't know if we have the opportunity where this is a grant funding. I don't know if it's required that we do this tonight. I was hoping that we might be able to discuss the full 275 in kind of a more comprehensive way, where in any subcommittee that we deem appropriate. I don't know if it's curriculum or maybe student support services that Ms. Doherty chairs, but I just want to make sure that we're not in any risk if we put this off.
I do believe, and I'm going to ask Ms. Murphy to confirm, that there is a time-sensitive part of the grant that wants us to begin using the funding and start the hiring and figuring out the entire program. And I believe that that's why this was time-sensitive to get the initial amount on. But I'm going to confirm with Assistant Superintendent Murphy. But I do agree that us planning a subcommittee meeting quite rapidly would probably be a great action step.
Ms. Murphy?
The three-year grant calls for $75,000 each year, with the first year's spending being completed by October 1st. So we were really looking for this money to get the program started. In the past, the UTEC program, we have used ARA money, $75,000, that funded the GED program at UTEC, as well as that modified day program for the academics. The kids would go to school from 3 to 6 in the evening. The proposal that we've been discussing for next year is looking at the students going a full-day program for the academic piece. So they would be going like the 9 to 3. This money would be used to get the program started and get the GED program up and running and start the program up.
So does the GED component still is still taught by our adult ed instructors,
is.
and it basically takes place there?
Yes, it does. Yes,
So
it
the
is.
75 we'd be voting on tonight would be exclusively for that endeavor?
It would be for the whole package. I don't want to mislead
Yeah,
you.
no, and I appreciate that. I'm a fan of avoiding that. If we were to look at next week as an opportunity to have the student support meeting, which I know that the chair has thought would be appropriate, I believe Mr. Leahy's back at that point. If we were to have that meeting, would we be able to have this full-fledged discussion and then be able to still meet your deadlines?
I think that would be fine.
Okay, if I could then, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to take this final item out of this evening's permission to enter to be voted on separately, or to be rescinded maybe, but if this...
And refer it to the Student Support Subcommittee as well?
Exactly.
Okay. Second by Mr. Leary. Roll call on the substitute motion.
Ms. Martin?
Yes?
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. Mr. Conway, did you want to be recognized?
Just very briefly, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to point out that the headmaster was here, so if we needed any specific information dealing with programs at the high school, I'm sure that he could step up and answer them. I also just wanted to point out just very quickly on that school program, that money is certainly well worth it. It's we have a growing problem of complex situations, I think, with our students, and it certainly is a program that has been extremely helpful in our school system. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. Ms. Larrabee?
Thank you, Your Honor. Regarding the professional development training being provided by Sandra L. Dunning, do we have an idea of how many hours that will give us?
Yes, Ms. Dunning is working, she's earning $500 a day, and I believe it's up to 40 days, and that's the initial at this particular point. And that will be training the teachers at the Merkland School, through the Level 4 school redesign plan. And additionally, she will be train the trainer model of all our literacy coaches across the district, who will then in turn bring the writing program back to their district, back to their own schools. And she will additionally be sharing the training with all the principals so that everybody is on board with the writing initiative in K-4.
Any other questions, comments on the items under permission to enter? Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Larrabee, to approve them as amended. Roll call.
Yes?
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. Under memorials, we have actually 8 on our agenda, but with permission of my colleagues, I would like to add a 9th. So let me read these memorials into the record, and then we'll rise in a moment of silence and darken chambers. Rose M. Tuccelli, mother of Jean Franco, Superintendent of Schools. Jean Masajewski, retired daily school cafeteria worker. Eileen Mamie Baker, sister of Jen Sneringer, Bailey School paraprofessional. Joseph D.A. Daigle, father of Nancy Daigle, Lincoln School paraprofessional. Patricia Ann Ryan, sister-in-law of Eleanor Rafferty, Special Education Department Executive Secretary. Willie Hendricks, father of Herbert Hendricks, Bailey School custodian. Patricia Pertell, mother of Patty Clough, McAuliffe School custodian. Louis Soyden, uncle of June Cormier, Superintendent's Office Secretary. And the ninth one I'd like to add is Dr. Wayne Peters, former Superintendent of Schools, former school committee person, and member of the Lowell City Council who passed away over the last few days. So may we all rise in a moment of silence and darken chambers. Thank you. May they rest in peace. I don't believe there's any unfinished business to come before us this evening. Nothing on the public participations. No motions. Going right to the subcommittee reports. The first subcommittee, Facility Subcommittee, since Mr. Leahy's not here.
Just looking for approval of the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes.
You want to do that, or wait until Mr. Leahy's here to present? Ms. Lar-
Actually, Mr. Leahy actually presented those at the last minute as a verbal
okay.
report.
We're just doing approval of the minutes at this point.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Larrabee. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Next subcommittee report, Curriculum Subcommittee report and approval of the minutes of the meeting of Tuesday, June 21st. Chair recognizes Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Meeting did take place on June 21st. In attendance were myself and other members of the subcommittee, Ms. Doherty and Mr. Leary. From central office, we had Deputy Superintendent Franco, also Claire Abrams and Phyllis Schlichter, and we did have some guests, which we'll reference as part of our initial discussion topic was 3 research proposals that have been brought to the curriculum subcommittee. What I would recommend is that I can present all 3 and we can vote on them all together.
Okay.
So for research studies, we did receive a request from Dr. Din, Dr. McCabe, and Dr. Baccia, all from the university, I believe the University of Lowell, if I'm not mistaken. And this was to conduct a study entitled Project Launch. It does focus on Latino and Asian youth in our high school, and it is going to be tracking social connections and using them to help explain the impact of cultural forces on academic performance. The second research proposal was from Julie DeRoche. She is going to be looking at the effectiveness of instructional writing strategies and their ability to support academic practice in the classroom, focused on working with teachers and their professional knowledge. The third was requested from Kathleen McLaughlin, a staff member, a teacher here in the city of Lowell, certainly very highly regarded. And she is going to be focusing on mathematics coaching, which is certainly her area of expertise. And again, this is going to be a study that is focused primarily on working with teachers. There won't be any student involvement in her study. I would recommend it to the full committee that we take these 3 together, and the subcommittee did recommend allowing these research studies to move forward. I'd make that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leary. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Martin.
Our second topic was an update on the Race to the Top. This is certainly a very complicated and comprehensive effort that's going forward in our schools. Just to kind of focus on a few quick topics, we did talk about the evaluation framework. Certainly there's been a great deal of discussion statewide about the new evaluation protocol that's going to be coming into play, certainly not just here in Lowell, but across the state. We are waiting for some final documentation and instruments from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we'll be moving forward with that. We were updated on the work that's been going forward, really alignment work within our curriculum, the updating to the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks, taking into account the core requirements that are going to be coming into play. So there's been a great deal of work happening both on the mathematics side as well as the reading and English language arts. We did talk about, certainly a very exciting topic, the school's interoperability framework, which is something that could only be named by an educator somewhere, coming up with great words. This is basically a new technology requirement for us so that it's going to allow us to do better data entry. It's going to allow us to have more accurate and effective use of data, certainly something we've been talking about in the district, and this will be a new initiative happening in the city of Lowell, and again, beyond. Talking about, we did receive in our packets, my colleagues, I know all have this, the proposed budget for the Race to the Top initiatives for FY11. I'm sure we'll be discussing that in greater detail as we move through the meeting. There are a number of positions included in that, which we'll be discussing in the upcoming Personnel Subcommittee meeting. So we can discuss those there. We did get an update on our science curriculum, some purchases that have been made for the district, updating our science materials, which is certainly something we've all been looking forward to. We received an update on the grade 5 through 8 sex and reproduction standards and the way that they're being implemented in our middle schools. Reported from Ms. Abrams about really what I think has turned into a partnership with Healthy Futures that has allowed us to use this nonprofit to help us implement the comprehensive information that was so important, certainly I think to this body, and ensuring that our middle schoolers are getting that information in an effective and an appropriate way. We did have a conversation about increasing and just basically scheduling a standing curriculum subcommittee now on a monthly basis, because the meetings, as you may guess from this report, tend to get a little bit long. So our thought is that if we have them on a regular basis, we can keep them to a more reasonable length. And then we did receive information regarding the posting of the content, language, and literacy teacher positions. They were approved by the school committee during our budget process as a new position here in the city. And we did receive that, and my colleagues have had access to that as well. I'd submit that as a report of progress.
Motion by Ms. Martin to accept the Subcommittee on Curriculum and Instruction as a report of progress, second by Mr. Leary. Any questions before we ask for a vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Moving on, we have the Personnel Subcommittee report and approval of the minutes of the meeting of Thursday, June 30th. Chair recognizes Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So Personnel Subcommittee did meet on June 30th. Present were myself and Subcommittee member Allison Larraba from the school department. We had, again, still at that point, Jean Franco, our Deputy Superintendent, Jay Lang, the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations. We did discuss, as I said, a number of positions. We did review the 3 new positions that are part of our Race to the Top grant. My colleagues, I know, have received that. I don't know if everyone's had an opportunity to review it. As we look at the budget format that was developed that tracks this, I did have one question as we were looking at it in terms of the stipends and that number of $626,299. And I just wanted to ensure, so that's straight stipends for internal staff, and that's for time out of the classroom or for time in addition to the classroom?
Madam Superintendent.
Yes, those are for stipends after school in creating the curriculum pieces that come with the Race to the Top initiative. Also, we hope to continue some of the inquiry work that we've had in the past where teachers are coming together, looking at student data, and in fact having time to discuss outcomes and best teaching practices. So part of the money that we used in stimulus in the past, we hoped to incorporate into this figure. So those are after school, before school type stipends to really have the body of our teaching staff and administrators to finish the work that we have to have accomplished within the next 3 years.
Thank you very much. The final job descriptions, and I'm sorry, I can't lay my hands on them in my pile right now, so I don't know if you'd like to walk us through it. I know that we had the grant director, and then there were the data position, and then the third was was an assistant position for human resources, if I'm not mistaken. But perhaps it might be best if you could just present those details, because we do have to vote on them tonight, correct? And the committee needs to approve them as a body.
Madam Superintendent?
Yes, in your packet, you will find job postings for the Race to the Top grant coordinator, who, and also the Assistant Director of Human Resources. Now, they're later at the end of the meeting when it says, new business. So if we want to move them up, it's right before the conference requests. So it's later in the agenda. And so the job posting for the coordinator oversees all of the working pieces of Race to the Top. That means that this person oversees all the projects that Ms. Martin touched upon when she reported it from the curriculum subcommittee. And additionally, they have to make sure that in collaboration with the entire curriculum office, that our students, teachers, we're all ready to take that new assessment within the next 3 years. So that's all part of the outcomes and the expectations of this initiative. So these are temporary positions that will live the length of the grant, which is until, for 3 more years, 3 additional years. We just had our planning year, which we completed, and we'll see in the budget, has $284,000, I believe, we spent. And so this is the first position overseeing that 12-month position, not affiliated, which was discussed at the subcommittee meeting, that we do need people entire summer, and so that's why this job description was written as suggested at the subcommittee meeting. Additionally, the largest new initiative that will be an immense challenge for the entire state, as Ms. Martin touched upon in her description, is the new educator evaluation tool. I did see a taste of it, not the template. The template's not going to be ready until November, but all of the parameters are included in the evaluation tool, and how, in fact, we have to assure that the evaluation takes place, the pieces that go with that, the training involved in that initiative, tracking the evaluation of teachers, administrators. There are different initiatives or different rules for affiliated staff, for non-affiliated staff, for teachers. And so, as you all know, because we have one level 4 school at the Merkland School, this work of getting this evaluation up and running at the Merkland is right now. However, the rest of the district has to make sure that it is accomplished by the following year, and in the entire state, it will be the year after that. So this second position is really putting into play assistance in our human resource office for someone, another full year position, to make sure that this part of the Race to the Top work is done without error. And so we also still have to negotiate this as part of our process before the beginning of the next year until November, but that remains to be seen. But that's what these 2 positions are covering, and that's what these job descriptions are delineating here for you.
Thank you. Ms. Larraba, then Mr. Leary.
Just a couple of questions.
Why don't we actually move to suspend the rules, since we're actually talking about these job descriptions? So
Move to
motion to
suspend the
suspend the
rules.
rules by Ms. Larraba, second by Mr. Leary, so that we can actually deal with the permission to post those 2 positions. All those in favor of taking those up now signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Ms. Larraba?
Thank you, Your Honor. So my understanding is these are time-limited positions. Are there benefits that are attached to these positions? And if so, what is the value of that? And is that coming from the grant, or is that included in the salary part of it? And also, how were the salary ranges determined?
Madam Superintendent?
Yes, there are benefits affiliated with these positions also, but these positions were slated in a way that is equal to other non-affiliated staff, and so in fact that range is a range that was determined when reviewed by the Director of Title I, and also Mr. Lang, I believe.
Mr. Lang?
I jump in, trying to much slack here. On the salaries, we had to take a look at existing positions within the district just to see that they were going to fall within appropriate range. The benefits package and the salary would all be covered under the Race to the Top grant over the next 2 or 3 years. So they are dependent on the grant funding. And they would give us the ability to get the on this one, the licensure and evaluation piece really up and going, and hopefully have it just be a part of our district at the end of the 3 years.
And when you're talking about the benefits, are these in line with what we have put in some recent contracts in terms of vacation time, how many sick days?
Yes, I mean, you folks actually can get to decide that, but we had it set up, I had it set up when we brought in those new computer repair liaison folks. We had a kind of a non-affiliated staff benefit package at that time, so I was going to have it just equal that, just to have everything in the district be consistent for those folks.
Mr. Leary?
Some of those questions I already had answered, so I appreciate it, Mr. Lang, and I appreciate the follow-up regarding matching it with the new positions. I also appreciate that you provided a budget of what we're going to be looking at. I guess my questions have been answered, but just a quick request. Can we put that budget online? Because it's just an idea so as we familiarize folks in the community with the Race to the Top money, they get an idea as how we're spending it, and they can look it up quick and easy. Other than that, though, I thank you for your time and appreciate putting these positions in place, and hopefully we'll have some benefit. Thanks.
Do I have a motion to approve the permission to post the Race to the Top Grant Coordinator and Assistant Director of Human Resources for Educator Licensure and Evaluation? So moved by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larraba?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. Moving back to the regular agenda, going back to the Personnel Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry for
That's quite all right.
messing with the schedule. The other topic that we did discuss was posting our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. With our new superintendent leaving that position, it does remain open, and we were hoping to post it. The one remaining, my colleagues attached to this report is some recommendations in terms of, again, keeping our language consistent across, looking at the, reducing the sick leave by 3 days, I believe, which we've been doing in our other contracts, with the cap of $30,000 sick leave buyback cap in place, and then the traditional 25 vacation days and 2 personal days. The one thing that I think the committee does need to do this evening would be to confirm a salary range so that as you're moving forward, I know that it has been advertised, I believe, without one. So that I believe the administration was looking for us to kind of get a range here. I'd welcome a recommendation from the superintendent as to kind of what you feel an appropriate range is, and then the committee can determine that.
Thank you, Ms. Larraba.
Thank you. Just regarding the contract terms, I thought we had had a discussion about reducing the annual vacation from 25. Am I just not remembering that correctly?
Mr. Lang?
To start off a position with a 5-week vacation, I in my mind.
No, we did talk that night about that, actually. They were, what I tried to do is go through the existing contract templates that we have for the assistant superintendents and pull out the kind of the benefit pieces, just for you to take a look at. So I do think an action tonight on the school committee to set some type of a range. I think it was posted as, there was no range attached, but it said commensurate with experience or something like that, to just give some folks, before the position actually closes, an idea of what the salary range is. I listed the sick leave buyback cap that would be consistent with our contracts now in the air for you to take a look at, and there was some discussion about the 20 to 25 days of vacation time. The sick days, 12 is what's in there now, and then 2 personal days, and we assume this individual will also adopt the new DESE evaluation tool when it comes out. But there was some discussion about it. I think where there were only 2 members at the subcommittee meeting, we decided to just accept the report as a report of progress and not actually make any formal recommendation and leave it to the committee to decide.
Ms. Larraba?
In that case, I would like to make a motion to offer the vacation as 15 days.
So you're looking to amend the job description that is part of the minutes of the Personnel Subcommittee.
Yes.
Motion by Ms. Larraba to amend the job description to drop the annual vacation days from 25 days to 15 days. Do I have a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Mr. Leary?
Just in an effort to get like a process going, if we could do a range of between like 15 to 25 days in that range, so you could do something where if you have an employee that's working for you that's already getting 25 days and that's the person you pick, why would they take a 10-day reduction? So I don't know if a range is better based on based on experience levels. You want people to apply, hopefully get someone internally. If you don't, someone's outside, if they're going to come in, you want them to you want to get your candidate that you want, and you don't want to have to haggle over vacation time and come back to the committee and re-vote on it. So I don't know if the recommendation would be for a range between that time frame, so you could have some flexibility. I'd like to defer to my colleagues for more of a discussion on it. But if you have someone you want, and you're going to be at 15 days and they already have 20, and why you're going to come back to us and ask for 5 more days? Let's just have a range so you can make a good business decision. And I guess I'll defer to my colleagues for some comments on that.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much. I mean, I would just, for the sake of parity, say that where the other positions at that level are at 25 days, I would prefer to keep it there. If there is going to be discussion about reducing the number of days, then I think we need to have a discussion about how you make that salary fair. Because vacation days are money, and that's how they get calculated. So if you've got this position which is functioning at an extremely high level, obviously, the assistant superintendent for curriculum, it's hard to dispute that that's a key function within a school department. Then I think we'd need to have that conversation. Personally, I would much rather keep it fair so that everyone is at the same level in terms of vacation days and have an effective range salary-wise that keeps everyone in line and keeps that level where it is and allows us, we've already, again, reduced sick time and all that. So I would not be supporting anything that brought it below the standard 25.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I agree with my colleague. I think having a range in vacation days, I think, can kind of complicate matters a bit. I think we need some consistency, at least with that particular level. And I also think that I don't see anything wrong with some flexibility, obviously, in the salary, depending on the qualification, degrees, and so forth. But as far as the vacation days or sick days, I think it needs to be consistent.
Thank you. Ms. Larraba? Then I'll recognize the superintendent.
Just to throw out the thought process there is the people that we have in place currently have been here for a number of years. I understand Mr. Leary's point that if somebody has 20, why would they go to 15? And I'm not held fast to 15, but to have somebody walking into the job and boom, have the 25, that's where I'm coming from. Maybe Superintendent Franco will say to me, that's the standard for this kind of position, and if that's the case, then fine, but I'm just kind of looking at trying to bring things down so that we're not starting at such a high level and then going up. But again, we'll defer to the superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I respectfully request that we have parity and equity in the positions because we want to draw the most highly qualified internal or external candidates for this position. I know this position intimately. If we could take 25 days, that would be great, but that's not always what happens. But the equity in the workload, anyone with whom I've served as an assistant superintendent has most definitely taken the job quite seriously and deserves an equitable package. And with us changing the sick leave and to make sure that it's equal across the board makes great sense to me. But to cut any one of those benefits to me is not fair, and it's already assuming that the quality of this person is not going to be at the highest standard, and you know that that will never happen with our guidance. So I do respectfully request that we maintain as much parity as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Ms. Martin,
I just ask if you would like to recommend a range to us. To
on the
be
salary.
a salary range.
Madam Superintendent?
I would most definitely look at the lowest salary of the assistant superintendents, what in fact they're at this particular time, or maybe a little below that. I would say not more than $3,000 to $5,000 below. This person is coming in with little experience, so I would think that something that is no more than $3,000 lower than what the actual salary of the two experienced superintendents, maybe five at a maximum.
Ms. Martin and Mr. Leary?
I'm just trying to nail it down to actual numbers. So would we be looking at between maybe 120 to 126, 127, and that, is that? Oh, they are? I thought you were.
Mr. Lang?
No, I was going to say, if you'd like to make that motion, I'd appreciate it. No, we're at like 119 now. Yeah, that's okay.
So then I'd say if we maybe go between 115 to 121, 122, something like that.
Madam Superintendent?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that they're about at 118. And so, in essence, if that were the range, a little bit lower, a little bit higher, depending on the experience, I would not want this new employee to come in at any level higher than the existing assistant superintendents with us.
Mr. Leary, then Ms. Larraba?
I mean, I think it should be in the range of 110 to 120, but I'm not going to, if you're bringing in somebody from outside, but that's the same sort of range what Ms. Martin said. I won't, I'll support that, but if something we can get in the lower end would be more, I think, appropriate for someone coming into the position new. Thank you.
Ms. Larraba?
Actually, I was going to suggest 110 to 118, because they would be coming in new, and this is what we have our current assistant.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent, 115 to 121. Did I hear that? Or?
That's correct.
Do you want to put that in the form of a motion, or do you want to go with the recommendation of the superintendent?
I'll do a form of a motion, 110 to 118.
We have a motion by Ms. Larraba to set the salary range at 110 to 118. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Leary. Mr. Conway on the motion?
Yeah, just very quickly, what did you say the assistant superintendent salary max was on that? What was it, 119?
I believe it's 119 at this
Okay,
point.
119. And the motion is what?
110 to 118.
Thank you.
On the motion regarding the salary range for the position of Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, we have a motion, it's been seconded, roll call on the salary range. It's 110 to 118.
Ms. Martin?
Yep.
Mayor Milinazzo?
No.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larraba?
Yes?
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Going back to the job description then, do we have a motion to approve the job description as presented by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Leary? Do you have a question? Okay. Roll call on the job description.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milinazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larraba?
Yes?
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Subcommittee report, Personnel Subcommittee report. Report is accepted as a report of progress by Ms. Larraba, second by Mr. Conway. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed is the vote. Thank you, Ms. Martin. Special Education Student Support Services, my understanding, we're going to put that off until the next meeting. Moving on to the reports of the superintendent. There are a number of them this evening. The first one is Race to the Top budget. Madam Superintendent.
We've been talking around the race to the top all evening. This is the budget that was requested at the June 21st, 2011 meeting, and here it puts into play what the next 3 years' budget looks like. It includes the 2 positions that you have just moved to approve, also the overview of the work that needs to be done with our teachers and with all the other grant requirements at this particular time. I do want to inform the committee that this is always amendable. If we find that there's too much that's been placed, we will change that. But we did really want to put the fixed items around the salary lines. Those are the pieces that are the most that aren't going to move quite much. But the rest, in fact, could, depending on how the work evolves, could be changed. But this is what the vision is at this particular time. And of course, in the world of grants, you can always amend if we have initiatives that have to change, or if we need to purchase something to promote the work in the future. So this is an overview of the grants, and this is that amount of $1,133,149 is about the target amount each year, because that's the total amount we will have to expend by the end of the life of the grant.
Thank you. Ms. Larraba?
Yes, Your Honor, through you to the superintendent. Under fringe benefits, if you could just explain what the abbreviations MSTR stand for. And then the other question I have is, there's no support staff in here for this budget. Are they not going to require that, or will we use in-house of what's already existing?
The MSTR is Mass State Retirement, so that line has to do with the retirement system. The position for the person helping out with the data, to be truthful with you, I'm remiss because I have not been in work for the past 5 days, and so I do not know the answer to that. I believe that we were going to look for another non-affiliated position to, in fact, help with the compliance pieces with the data, but I would be dishonest in telling you that I know what happened. So I will get back to that, and we will bring it forward, because I do not know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the race to the top budget? Mr. Leary?
Just, we could put it online, too. I know I said it earlier, but just to make sure we have this online for people to take a look at. Thanks.
Thank you. The chair would like to entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Mr. Leary, second by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larraba?
Yes?
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. Superintendent's induction program. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is just to make you all aware of the conference that I attended last week, which was the new superintendent's induction program, which gives to me support of superintendents across the state. And there is one gentleman, Mr. Marini, who is my mentor. You'll see him at meetings. And his job is to make sure that we don't fall into the big, I guess, manholes. I don't know what the right word will be, but it's guidance. And so it was very supportive, run by Dr. Carla Bear and Joan Connolly, former superintendent of Malden. So it's a mentoring kind of program. Out of 60 new superintendents in the state, 36 are in this program, and it looks like something that's very very exciting, and it'll give support to all of us who are brand new in this position. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Also, the Mass Association of School Superintendents Conference was quite as informative. I do have much information to share with you, especially about the evaluation tool that's coming in and the new parameters. I will be attending another meeting with, I believe, Principal DiCarlo on Monday. That's more detail. Overview. As I stated earlier in the meeting, the template or the exact process is presented, but there isn't actual a template to be used, because I know that this committee is waiting for a template for the administrators, because you're using it for our evaluations, as I will be using the principal evaluation to evaluate the principals in the system. So as soon as this information comes clearly, we will be having substantial meetings. There's a lot of training involved. There's a lot of language we have to talk about. So that was presented, but it's still not mapped down entirely, but we should have a subcommittee meeting quite rapidly, curriculum, or to look at what that has. I think it would be personnel, actually, that we should have as a subcommittee. So I just wanted to let you know about that meeting and what happened, and when Mr. Marini comes to town, I will introduce you.
Thank you. Motion to accept the superintendent's report on the induction program as a report of progress by Ms. Larrabee, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed to the vote. Funding for newcomer programs.
Yes, the reason why I put this particular report on this evening's agenda is because of the money that's involved to begin the newcomer programs, which was approved by the school committee, sits in the suspense account, but there are 5 teaching positions and 4 paraprofessional positions that are involved in this particular initiative. We do get about 185 newly arrived students every year. We have no reason to believe that that will not continue into next year, because our latest information from the International Institute states that we still are a destination city for our newest immigrants coming from Burma and Nepal and other places all around the world. So extending this is a more expensive initiative than last year's initiative, because we're extending support to Lowell High School. Lowell High School welcomes 50 to 75, and during the year, they replace each other also, students every year, and we really have to put some specified ESL support to brand new children. I do want us to remember that the newest immigrants have no formal schooling or very little formal schooling, which really intensifies the need for comprehensive instruction. And the progress that was made in the newcomer program last year is of exceptional merit. I was very happy with the outcomes, and since that's my field and my background, I'm very highly judgmental on the quality of those programs. So this is just to get the funding in a place where we can fill these teaching positions before the school year begins in a highly sought-after field in ESL. So that's what the request is. I did attach the report that I prepared for Ms. Doherty's motion, giving you an update. You already have seen the report, but my cover sheet is just requesting that change for the financial part.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Ms. Larrabee?
So we need to do a motion to
Yes.
transfer 314,000.
Correct.
Do I need to break it down by position? Or can I just do the total figure?
I believe we can do the total figure based upon the report from the superintendent.
Motion to transfer 314,000 from the suspense account to the appropriate line item for paraprofessionals and teachers.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Martin. Any further discussion, Ms. Martin?
Just a quick question. So this 314, was this what we had approved and put into the suspense account, or is this an increase now?
Now, this is money that was proposed for the new program.
Right.
That was put into suspense because we had not determined, we put a lot of these kind of
Oh,
things
no,
into the
exactly.
suspense.
I just wanted to make sure this wasn't anything in
Yes,
addition
no,
to
it's
what we
not
had
any
originally
additional funding.
discussed.
It'll be a new strand at the Greenouch School, the Wang School, and then Lowell High School will get support teachers, 2 teachers and a paraprofessional at the high school.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. End of the year district discipline report, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report outlines the data collected during the 2010 through 2011 school year in the categories of arrests on school grounds, expulsions and long-term suspension hearings, and students readmitted to school following a long-term suspension. So the first page is the 1-year total for our middle schools and our high school and alternative programs. The second page is a 3-year data comparison of the categories of school-related arrests and expulsions and long-term suspensions. Ms. Murphy prepared this very detailed report, and as far as data, when you're looking at the data, the only substantial difference in data is in the 3-year comparison of expulsion and long-term suspension hearings at Lowell High School. That was 56 in 2010, and it was 35 in 2011, so there has been a change in that area, but those kind of hearings are determined by 37H and 37 rulings of expulsion hearings. So this is the data up to date, and if there are any questions, please ask away.
Anybody have any questions on the district discipline report? Mr. Conway?
Madam Superintendent, today, what type of suspension or expulsion hearings would come in front of the school committee? Because in the past, we had those before. And matter of fact, I don't think we've had, I haven't been to one in 3 years. I know as a housemaster, I went to a number of them. Does the law cover this now? Is everything under the umbrella of the 37H? The question I think I'm trying to get to is,
Yes.
why do we not have expulsion hearings coming in front of the school committee? And I mean, not that I'm looking for them, I'm just curious. What has happened with that?
I believe that's a great question, because when I was in charge of student services, there were those kind of hearings. So I'm going to ask Ms. Murphy to update us on any legal changes.
Thank you.
Ms. Murphy?
Thank you. Under section 37H and 37H and a half, the principal has the authority to hold long-term suspension expulsion hearings when students, under certain conditions. One is drugs or weapons in school, assault of staff, or a felony committed outside of the school that significantly impacts the safety and well-being of the school. Since I've been in this role, I have only attended 2 hearings before the subcommittee, before the school committee, the full school committee. And one was for a student who pulled a fire alarm at Lowell High School. And for that infraction, the principal does not have the authority to hold an expulsion hearing, but the school committee does. The second was a severe assault of another student. So if a student attacks another student, that does not fall under the purview of the principal either. That comes before the school committee. Those are the only 2 cases that I have been involved with since I've been in this position. All of the other hearings have been conducted by the principals, falling under that 37H, 37H and a half.
How long has 37H and 37H and a half been in existence?
I don't know the exact number of years, but I would say at least 10, if not longer than 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the discipline report? Hearing none, motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Mr. Conway, second by Mr. Leary. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. The end of the year health services report, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a report just telling you the status of the health services that we enjoy in the Lowell Public Schools, as presented by Assistant Superintendent Murphy. In the mobile oral health services area, we have provided dental services to 1,018 students, and there have been 3,487 procedures which have been given to our students, including fluoride and all kinds of other treatments. The Tough Dental program continues to send a hygienist to us 2.5 days a week, and they provide screening and a field experience. So also, as far as preventative care, there are sealants and fluoride treatments that our students enjoy. Beyond that, there is the Eye Mobile Clinic, and there is a vision affiliate from New England College of Optometry, and 74 students were given exams, and 48 had prescriptions for glasses, and the children had extensive follow-up treatments. So this is something that's newer to our system that they enjoy at the high school. We have enjoyed a great relationship with the Health Department of Lowell, and they help us with some field trips, but when there are advanced nursing services that are needed, field trips where children who are involved need some help, we get nursing services to attend those particular field trips, and so this is a report seeing how, in fact, those field trips were covered so children can enjoy the field trips that their peers enjoy. And then in health services, it states that we had 2,867 students with special health care needs that received support for their health care plans. So EpiPens and asthma inhalers were provided through this particular health service. Ms. Murphy, in her work, has assured, and this was not easy because I watched her, that all of the automatic external defibrillators were in fact installed in all 27 school buildings in the district, and I must say that she was most definitely insistent that this was very important, and I congratulate the progress in this particular area because it has been definitely guided most carefully. So, thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Any questions on the health services report, Ms. Larrabee?
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you to Assistant Superintendent Murphy. A couple questions. Regarding the Eye On-Site Mobile Clinic, if I remember correctly, there was also a program to do the glasses with the self-prescription. Did we end up doing that this year, or how did that work out?
That was a one-year research study that we participated in. From that collaboration, New England College of Optometry asked us if we wanted to be part of their new initiative, which is the Vision Van. And we readily jumped on board. And this year, the Vision Van went to the freshman academy and the middle schools. Next year, we're hoping to expand that to the elementary schools as well.
Also, congratulations on getting the AEDs in all the schools. I also wanted to ask a couple questions on the status report. When we're looking at the numbers, if we could look at the last page on that, just if you could explain for me. When we're looking at the health screenings, we have, just for BMI, we have the initial screening of 3,797. We did 37 rescreens. We did 1,362 referrals, but of that, only 23 referrals were completed. Is that something that's not within our power to make sure that that gets completed, or how does that work?
That's correct. The school nurses will make the referrals, but then once the referrals are made, it's pretty much out of their hands, and so they will do follow-up, but it's really left to the parents to do the follow-up with the referrals.
And then another question, in terms of when we look at the number of asthma cases, 1,919, and we have plans in place. Where did I read that? With asthma action plans, 57. Again, is that something that is parent-driven, or is that driven from the schools? I'm just thinking with such a high number of students with asthma that we would have more asthma action plans.
We actually have 951 students who have individualized healthcare plans, and of those students, 693 students have orders for asthma inhalers. So that falls under an individual healthcare plan.
Okay, so what is the difference between that? I'm sorry, I'm just kind of trying to learn this. What is the difference between those plans and an asthma action plan?
The asthma action plan would be contained within the individual student health plan.
I'm just looking at the number 57 and thinking that that seems out of whack. If you're looking on page 2 at the top, you see the number of students with 504 plans on file, and then the number of students with asthma action plans on file. It just seemed like an out of whack number.
Some students who have asthma will have inhalers, and they will have individual healthcare plans. Other students will have inhalers, be part of an individual healthcare plan, but have such a severe case that there is an action plan added to it, so that there's an emergency procedure for the students. Does that help to clarify that?
That explains it for me, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the health services report? Hearing none, motion to approve the report is a report of progress by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Larrabee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed is the vote. Lowell High School 2011-2012 Student Handbook. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, you have, every year, we present every language change in the student handbook, and you have a yellow tabbed guide here to any language changes that are proposed for this year's handbook. I do believe that the committee has to vote on anything that is a policy change, not actually each language change, but anything that is an official policy change. And so, although this is all detailed quite explicitly, I am going to ask Ms. Murphy or Mr. Rosemaric if there are any policy changes which we could bring forward that we would need to vote on, because I know this is here in our July meeting because it has to be printed and ready for day one of Lowell High School student entry. So I would ask Ms. Murphy if there's anything you can bring to our attention of need.
In terms of a school committee policy, there isn't any changes from the previous. There are a lot of clarifications. Some are editorial clarifications. Some look to really clarify some of the language, such as long-term confiscation of hats for repeated offenders. You know, the language right now in the handbook says that the hat will be taken and it will be returned to the student. Well, if the student comes in every single day with the hat, we're now going to add language to say you're going to get it at the end of the year. So we've sort of expanded a little bit on the language here, such as page 37. We've included under the influence as a major drug violation. Right now, the handbook says in possession or transfer, but we wanted to include for students who are actually under the influence that is also a serious infraction. And so policy-wise, there aren't any changes. It's more clarification and some more editorial clarifications. I don't know if Mr. Rosemaric has anything more that he would like to add to that.
I really don't have anything to add. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Larrabee?
Just in regards to the under the influence or drug violation, just a clarification, how does that work if students are found off campus? Do we have any?
Students are found off campus at a school function, at a school-sponsored event, activity, it absolutely falls within that.
But not if they are just having a party of their own?
There are MIAA.
The MIAA rules kick in, but school discipline doesn't reach out to drug or alcohol abuse off campus, other than athletic rules.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, move for approval by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Leary. I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Ms. Martin? Yes. Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosemaric. Elementary and Middle School 2011-2012 Student Handbook. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is the update for the upcoming publishing of the elementary and middle school parent and student handbook. Again, there are proposed changes, many of which you see the outline on the first page, are strengthening the language. At this point, I do not see policy changes, but I will make sure that that's correct with Ms. Murphy. But this is so we can indeed publish this and post it on the website for the first day of school. Ms. Murphy?
There are no policy changes, and the language changes we've tried to keep consistent with the high school. Certainly, there are areas that the high school handbook covers that would not be covered by an elementary middle school handbook, such as the parking lot violations and unsafe behaviors in the parking lot. But where we could, we kept the language absolutely consistent with the high school.
Any questions? Motion to approve by Ms. Larrabee, second by Mr. Conway. The student handbook is presented. Roll call.
Ms. Martin? Yes. Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary.
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. The Lowell High School Student Advisory Meeting schedule for 2011-2012 school year. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the request made a motion by Mr. Leahy, who asked for us to have the schedule for the 4 LHS student advisory meetings for next year. So we do in fact have the 4 dates, October, December, February, and April, for the dates that we will have our meetings with students before our school committee meetings next year.
Any discussion? Ms. Larrabee? Motion to approve by Ms. Larrabee, second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Personnel report.
Yes, this is the up-to-date as of July 20th personnel report for the latest hirings, resignations to date.
Any questions on the personnel report? Motion to approve by Mr. Leary, second by Mr. Conway. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. List of eligible teachers. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is our monthly list of eligible teachers that we set forth every month, and so for your review.
Any questions on the list? Move for approval by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Leary. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Continuing under new business, 2011-2012 lunch price. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, there's a report from Assistant Superintendent Jay Lang, who states that we do have to increase lunch prices over a period of time. In the recommendation that the lunch price will be risen from $1.75 to $1.80 for next year. Over the next few years, we do have to reach $2.46. And I don't know why it's 6, but at this point, we are asking to increase that by 5 cents. So,
Any comments, questions? Hearing none, motion to approve the recommendation by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary. Roll call.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. We have 2 convention and conference requests this evening. Motion by Mr. Conway, second by Ms. Larrabee, that we take them together. No?
I'd like to make a comment on one of them.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
But motion to take them together. All those in favor of taking them together signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. The chair recognizes Mr. Conway.
And I'm going to vote for both these, but I'm taking a look at the second conference, and it's to attend the Teachers College Writing Project at Columbia University in New York, and it's basically for the week. I think going forward, I'd like to see, if it's a Teachers College Writing Project, I'd like to see a teacher go instead of 2 administrators. And I realize the argument that's used that, you know, they're leaders of the building, and they'll be going back and they'll be explaining to the teachers what they have learned at the conference. But I think it would be I think, at least as far as I'm concerned, going forward, I'd like to have a teacher go forward at this conference, because the teacher's the one that's actually with the students and dealing with the situation directly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Madam Superintendent?
yeah, in this particular case, Mr. Conway, this is the training that is going to be brought to the teachers at the building, and this is the theory behind it. So each teacher will be receiving this in their classroom as developed through Mrs. Dunning, who you approved earlier, but this is the overview that the principal is going to see. The teachers will in fact be receiving this training through the on-site training at the Merkland School, but thank you for your input.
Any other discussion? Motion by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Martin, to approve the convention conference requests. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Under Communications, Informational, Lowell Telecommunications, Channel 10, broadcast of school committee meetings live on the first and third Wednesday of the month, Thursday at 9 p.m., Sundays 2 p.m., Tuesdays at 10 a.m., except during the summer when we meet just once during the month of July and August. Accept the communication placed on file by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Larrabee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Nothing under professional personnel, civil service. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Larrabee. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.